We're here with Jesse Perez. How you doing today?
I'm all right.
All right, cool.
Thanks.
Recently you were down at BPM, so tell us about your experience at Playa.
Playa's dope. I love going to BPM. I love the food there, the music, the people. The weather's pretty nice at times. It's warm. Yeah, I love it. I love it there. It's like a nice few days to get away. The parties are off the chain, so can't complain about that.
Tell me about the parties that you played this year.
This year I played the B-Pitch party, B-Pitch Boogie, La Salsanera. It was a dope little party. Yeah.
Cool. So you're in Atlanta today for the Mr. Nice Guy Showcase, label showcase. It's going to be at the Music Room tonight. You're going to be playing alongside your new recently signed artist, Rallo and Strata. Tell me about their EP that just came out, The Block. The Block.
Oh, I love The Block. Yeah, the first time I heard it, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted on my label, because a lot of people send me stuff and it's just like, they think just because they have a hip hop sample or something like that in it, that it's something that I'm going to want to pick up. But these guys just nailed it when they sent it to me, and it's 3 tracks with totally different vibes. Each one is totally different. I think The Block is the one that's maybe a little bit more peak hour, and the Rooftop, and the other one, I forgot the name of it now, which is bad. But yeah, I got so many things in my head right now. But yeah, the other 2 tracks are just like more groovy, and they're perfect. It's a style that I like to play, especially when I'm opening up, and you're warming up a room. It's the perfect track to play, So.
Nice. So what advice do you have for other aspiring producers who are looking to eventually come out on Mr. Nice Guy?
I would say the same thing that was told to me like when I first started, and I was like, you got to try to come up with your own sound, and you got to try to be original in some way or stand out in some way with your sound, When I first started, the guy that told me that, he's like a popular producer now, like in the commercial field, and when he told me that, I was like, yeah, fuck that, I used to love Timbaland's like beats. I used to do hip hop stuff. I was like, I'm gonna do exactly what that guy does, because it's fun to make something, whether it's original or not. It's still fun to create it. So that's what I was kind of doing at that time. But it doesn't get you anywhere, because you're just playing a cat and mouse game the whole time. Whatever trend comes in, you got to do that trend to try to stay, So like, you got to do your own style. If you do your own style, whether it's in or not, you're gonna stand out. And that, for me, that's the only reason why I even get booked now, because I have, my own style, and that sound is what people want to hear when they book me. If I just did like straight up like techno, then I would have to compete with everybody and their moms that does techno now. And at the end of the day, that's just like who has more money for marketing, who's in with what people. So those are things to keep in mind. If you're gonna do something, you got to make sure it's something that it has to be you. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be you. And at least with my sound, I think it's me, because everything that has influenced me throughout my whole life and in music, it comes out throughout my music, and I hear it now. Like I hear all like the 90s stuff that I used to listen to, like the Miami bass stuff, all the booty music, the hip hop music, and it's all coming out on my music now, you know what I mean? So I think I I achieved what I was told to do 15 years ago when I first started. So I would say that's the advice that I would have for somebody that's starting, just like, have fun with it, but try to do something that's you, and you gotta be original. It's hard as hell to be original in some way, you know what I mean? And it took me like over 10 years to come up with my sound, so I know I kind of like went a little over there, a little long there, but
hey.
That's the best advice that I can give somebody.
Essentially, you created your own genre of music. And so, bump and grind, right? And so it got its start basically when this guy told you, hey, you need to create your own sound. Where did you figure out, like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This is gonna be my sound. And how do you think it's gone from where it started to like where it is now, and where is it gonna go?
Like I said before, it took me like 10 years to come up with the whole thing. Like when I was told to come up with my own sound, I totally did not want to do that, because it's too much work. You got to beat your head in to try to like make a regular beat. So imagine like you're trying to do something that's original too at the same time. It's just too much work, and it doesn't come at you just like that, I think the funny thing, this is what I meant to tell you before. When I first started like getting into like the scene in house music, I used to work at a record store. And they brought me in to work there because I was a hip hop DJ. I was still making electronic music. At that time, I used to make trance music because that's what I was in. I was like 17, and that's what was in at the time, and that's all I knew. I didn't even know anything about house music, because in Miami, it was not getting played on the radio or anything like that. There was only there was like one club, like Space, and I was too young to go there. So to answer that question, DJs would come in there and they would just buy from one side of the store. Like if you bought hip hop, you bought from the left side. If you bought electronic music, you went to the right side of the store. But I would buy from both. And I always noticed that electronic DJs they would always talk like, like they didn't like hip hop music. So everybody would be like, oh, hip hop stuff. So I remember like in the beginning, I used to always like kind of be afraid to mesh both together and let people know that I would play hip hop music because I was doing a lot of parties, hip hop parties at that time. So this is like in 2003, 2004. And it wasn't until like 2010 when I was like coming up with that kind of sound. Oh. And even then, those records that I made in the beginning, a lot of those, it was actually like late 2009. Every label that I sent that stuff to, nobody wanted to pick it up. Everyone was like, no, this doesn't sound right, or whatever it was, whatever the case was, it just wasn't their style. And then I started Mr. Nice Guy at the end of 2010, and I started putting out that sound. And immediately I was like, like I had a couple of guys in Miami hit me up. That's when I met Mika Materazzi and Hector Rivero, and they started sending me stuff like that too. And that's when I was like, all right, I think we're onto something now. And everything started from there, So I think it was like in that year, 2011, I released Tales from an Atrium Motel. That was my first album that I released, and I think that was like the signature of the label, and that sound. It didn't get a lot of credit then, but I listened to the records that are being played right now, and that's everything I made in 2011. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like getting spread out everywhere now.
So you feel like now it's becoming more popular. Do you find, whenever you go out other places, you're hearing that style more often, or like, does it make you excited? How does it make you feel?
Oh, it's cool. It's like more accepted now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like people aren't scared to say that they like hip hop music. And I remember years back, some people will probably say I'm lying, but the truth is I remember years back where people would be like, yo, like they wouldn't want it to have anything to do with hip hop, you know what I mean? And now it's like accepted, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then now you have genres like G House and stuff like that too, know, which all this came afterwards as well. So it definitely, you definitely see it now in the clubs, And it might be because the generations that are playing music now, there are people that is my age and younger, and hip hop did have a lot of influence on our music and our growing up, So it's probably that as well,
What do you think sets the DJs in the scene who do produce aside? And I'm sure this is a question you may get a lot, but it's just always interesting for me to get perspective. What do you think sets them aside from people who actually do produce music? What makes them so different?
For me, I never have to worry about did I go online to go buy music? Am I getting promos from cool labels? Those are things I used to stress out before about because I wasn't playing my own stuff. And like if you're not playing your own music that you're making in a club, it's probably because it's not good enough yet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So my go-to music is my own stuff. You know what I mean? And everything that I'm playing, I might play a couple tracks that are released because people they like hearing songs that, I have people come up and ask me like for Hialeah House Party that came out like in 2011 or 2012, whatever it was. And I'm like, I don't really play that one as much anymore, but there's certain people that want to hear that track and you have to please them, at least play one or two of those. But for the most part, I'm playing stuff that's not going to come out for another couple of years. And that's the best feeling ever, that you can walk into a club and not have to worry about what did the opener play. I never have to stress about that. You know what I mean? The only thing is I don't like openers playing my music before I get on because it does take away from like your sound being already exposed to the crowd, you know what I mean? Yeah. So there's no, like the transitioning part is kind of, it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I never worry about, like about the whole playing thing, It's just like, I'm coming up with my own stuff, so it's fine. I feel like I have an edge over everyone else that I play with, It doesn't matter. I can play with the #1 DJ in the world right now, whoever it is, And I don't have to like sweat, like, oh man, like, or worry about, like, damn, did I get the cool promos this week? Because I feel like I'm coming in with the strongest stuff that I make, and I'm very confident about my music. You know what I mean?
That's what's up. What's it like having a family and sort of being like the DJ dad?
I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to be a good father, and how to be a good DJ and stay at the top of my game. In the beginning, it was very stressing, I would say. My son's only 3 years old. So that's what I'm saying. I'm still learning how to deal with all that. But I know in the beginning it was a little stressing because like I would do a lot of touring. Like I would go to Europe, And when you leave Miami to go to Europe, you don't just leave for a weekend. You go for a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To really make your money's worth. And every time I'd come back, he changed a little bit. You know, he looked totally different. He started doing new things, saying new words that he wouldn't say before. And at the same time, like, I didn't know. I'm a first time being a father. You know, so like I don't know exactly what are the best things that I can do to make sure that our relationship is strong, you know, and everything like that. But now I kind of do, and I'm still getting good at that.
What is maybe one thing you could have or say to other guys who are out there touring? They might have kids, or you know, just any piece of advice for anybody.
I remember before I had my son, I used to always stress about like not wanting to have kids yet because I wasn't ready for it. You know what I mean? And then now I just like. It really hasn't slowed down my step. I've learned to change certain things, and I've learned time management. That's the most important thing. You know what I mean? Like you're working around your kids' time schedule. You know, and I'm just not making music the whole entire day. Like now I have to kind of plan out my time. So what I would say is just like not to be scared. You know what I mean? Like everything will work out. You just have to learn time management.
Awesome.
That's the most important thing.
So I have to ask, were you really born in a motel?
I wasn't born in a motel. Anybody that reads that bio, you know, I when I wrote that bio, I wrote it because
you wrote that?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I just came up with all that, and I mean that's why it starts off with like Mike Tyson, like a quote from Mike Tyson saying like he'll get in the ring with me if they pay him enough. I mean that right there shows you. I mean, Mike Tyson will never say that shit about me, you know. Yeah, I just did that like messing around because I just think like especially like I mean some people have bios now where they kind of joke, but back then there weren't a lot of like bios. Everyone's like very serious, you know, like they were born like in a cave somewhere like off Germany, and they were exposed to techno music at a young age, and they were classically trained, playing the piano and all that. And it's just like you can't really like, you know, like they're like God's gift to humanity, and like techno and stuff like that. So I just kind of like made like a joke out of it, you know, saying like, you know, I'm like the total opposite. Right?
Pretty hilarious. Yeah, I enjoyed reading that. What do you find are some of the current challenges like that the underground scene is facing right now?
There's always like ups and downs, you know what I mean? I always have like, I have like a love-hate relationship with the whole scene in general, just because like, I always see like, you know, people are quick to like, say something about DJs or artists in the commercial scene, and I guess are easy targets. But I think in the underground scene, like the more and more that I've go into this business, I've learned that it's like just as fake as anything else. You know what I mean? Like I mean, half of the DJs don't make their own music, and you know, I read an interview from like, I'm not even gonna say the DJ's name, but a really popular DJ. You know, this guy's a legend. He's made hit songs that are never gonna die out, and he's made a lot of them. And they asked him like, who does he think is gonna be like, you know, like the next wave of like cool, you know, producers and DJs like himself. And the guy, the one person that he mentions, has a ghostwriter, and everyone knows that. I mean, at least DJs, they know that. So for me, it was kind of disappointing to read that. It was like, why would you like? You don't need to like win over people. You already won everyone over. You know, like you started a lot of people's careers. You don't need to give a guy like that a shout out, because then guys like myself, like what do we like? How do we get exposed if it's all about money and who you're paying? And so that's the only thing I don't like about the underground scene. I mean, it's cool to. I enjoy the music, and I enjoy meeting a lot of the people that I come across from city to city. But I would say that there's definitely a lot of phonies out there. Like definitely like a lot, you know what I mean? And that's like the hardest part of like, for me personally, to keep going in this business and keep growing. It's like, that's like a hard thing to deal with, and you really have to suck it up. And like, people don't like negativity. So whenever you expose things like this, you know, there's somebody that's gonna listen to this interview and be like, yo, this guy's full of shit. But that's the truth. The truth is like, there's mad phonies in the underground scene. I mean, you can see them in the booth, you know, and it's all about who do you know, like who you're talking to. It's, I mean, like anything else. So even outside of music and any business, it's about who you know. But when I first got into this, I was like, I thought it was really cool that DJs played their own music and they had like, you know, records of their own stuff, you know what I mean? And like, so I really looked up to that. And the more and more, like, it's not like, if you look at the Grammys, like half of those people, or 90% of the people that win those prizes, they don't even write those songs, but they're being acknowledged. Like, I mean, a Grammy is probably the biggest prize you can win, or acknowledgement in music probably, right? But none of those people write their own songs. They just perform the music and they're the image behind it. But I never saw that in like house music or in DJing in general. I always thought it was like cool. Like this is the face of, like, this guy is the person that makes, or this girl is the person that makes the music. So I always looked up to that. And then like now it's like it's kind of taking a shift where it's just more about like just these big names, like these ticket sellers, and they all have this huge team behind them. I think it's fake, you know what I mean?
Sell out.
Yeah, it's more than sell. I don't even know why some of these people do it, because a lot of people think this is like DJing is like a luxury. Like it's not a luxury, you know what I mean? Like right now, like I could be at home with my family, you know what I mean? But I wake up every day with the urge to make music and DJing. I can't take that away. I've tried to do that, believe me. I would love to have gone to school and get a good paying job, but I can't do it because I wake up every day with the same urge. I gotta make some music. I can't stop that. That's the way that I function, you know what I mean? And that's where I've had relationships, like problems with my relationships with my girl and my family because of that. So sometimes I look at DJs that have to pay people to make their music. I'm just like, why do you do that? It's not even worth it, bro. Like for that, man, like go to school and get another job, because it's not, like traveling is not fun. I mean, if you're getting paid like a shitload of money, okay, that's cool. But when you're like, have to do things on a budget to get from city to city, that's what people don't know about, no one talks about. They just like posting pictures of, like whatever the promoters bought them for dinner and stuff like that, and like nice hotels. It's nothing like that. So I don't understand how some people go through that mission of like paying people to make music for them and to get this whole image about them, like they're DJs or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Just because it's the cool thing to do.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to do when it's really, I mean, it's not that nice, It's some of it's nice. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of cool shit. I've been to a lot of cool places. I've met a lot of cool people, but at the same time, like you miss out on a lot of things from back home, and I could be doing a lot more if I didn't have that itch to make music every day. So it's like it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because if I didn't have it, I would be busting my ass trying to do something else, making a lot more money doing it. And I mean, who knows? Whatever it is, there's always obstacles, and sometimes you're happy and you're not. But I just don't see why some people would go out of their way to be fake in this business. It just drives me crazy.
That's real. What's one venue that you've always wanted to play at that you just haven't had a chance to yet?
One venue.
Or you just played at all of them, huh?
It's all about hype.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I played at venues that people talk about all the time. It's just like, and when I noticed that really makes a good party is, it's not just one thing. It's not just the DJ. It's like, is the promoter good? Are the people that are gonna go out that night? Like, if you get lucky, you get that really good crowd that they go out that night, and the promoters are good and they bring in their people. And that's what really makes a really good night. So it's not really about playing a specific club.
Yeah.
I've played everywhere already so far, so I think I've probably exhausted all the places I wanted to play. Maybe, there's one that I want to play, Warung in Brazil.
Okay.
I haven't played there yet. I played it I did a tour in Brazil like a few months ago in August, and it was amazing. Every club that I played was awesome, so that one might live up to all the hype, you know what I mean?
Nice.
But everywhere else that I played at that's like overhyped, that I was always dreaming about before, yeah, they were dope, but like playing at home, like 3 blocks from my house, was just as good, you know what I mean? So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so what can we expect coming up in the next couple of months from you, and what are your plans for 2016?
This year I'm gonna release a lot of music. That's what I'm gonna do. Like in the past years, what I would always do is like try to spread out my music releases, like, because I think that some of the tracks are good enough to like not release. Like now everybody wants you to release every week. Like I'll release a track today, and people tomorrow like, yo, when you're gonna come out with something new. So there's like this pressure, and I've never done that before. So this year I'm gonna like just release constantly. I'm just gonna like annoy the shit out of people with my music. And I have a lot of cool shit. I have a track coming out now on my label, Mr. Nice Guy. It's an EP with like 5 other artists, the After School Special. So I have one track there. It's really dope. I have a track that I did with the Egyptian Lover, and I don't know who's gonna put that one out, but I'll probably end up putting it out myself too. And I have a remix with I'm a House Gangster. I have a remix on Merc Records. I have an EP that I'm working on for Eats Everything's label. Okay. It's not confirmed yet, but one of the tracks is. I just got to come up with the B-side. And yeah, so that's for the rest maybe 6 or 7 months. That's what I'm doing. You know, for the rest of the year, I'm not really sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for talking with us today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Definitely.